If we take a normal financial company, you have a lot of computers turned on every day, and you have something like 300 computers running your calculations. But when you get to the end of the day, you need to turn on more machines to do more calculations. And so you want to take advantage of this elasticity, and you don't want to have those 3,000 machines at home. Because our problem is always a problem of capacity. If we have a usage, we tend to buy more hardware. And the red line is our capacity, our infrastructure capacity, and the blue line is the use. So when we get to a low use, we still have a lot of machines running. This is a typical data center cost. So imagine that you could guess what are those three colors. If we are having a data center, we are going to buy what? Servers, right? So we imagine that the blue area are the servers. Then what is going to cost me more on this data center? It's energy. So if I imagine that our site is dropping in usage, we are going to turn off computers. So what we can guess easily is that our energy, if we take half of the usage down and we turn half of our servers down, all that part of the energy is going to be half the price. But in reality, what happens is that we need to have cooling infrastructure. We need to have infrastructure to manage those servers. But imagine that you don't want to think about operating system. Then you think about platform as a service. You take your application and you put your application running on that infrastructure. So you don't care about hardware, operating systems, patching, anything. Or you just want to use the software. Imagine that you need to have an email account for your company, or you want to use Office on the web, or you want to use a CRM on the web. You just use the software. So what happens is that you have several examples of all of this. In Google, Amazon, Microsoft, we all have different kinds of services for this. Windows Azure now is covering the three of them. So our cloud capabilities are this. This is what we need from the cloud. Elastic, scalable storage, and a network topology that can sustain all these necessities. So we want to use this service, and we want to use the service of database, a relational database. And we have App Fabric that is a mix of services where you have a service bus, you have now access control that allows you to do federation between your applications on the web and your internal infrastructure. And other services will follow there. This Windows Azure has a good feature about storage, that is, when you put data inside Windows Azure or SQL Azure, you never lose the data. You don't need to do backup for failover. You need to do backup because you can delete the data and you would like to restore this information, but there's no need to do a backup. Because every information you put in Azure, we get its copies in 3 different points, 3 different levels of failure, so you really never lose the information that is there. The same thing happens with Windows Azure. When you put an application there, the system, the fabric that is using the Windows Azure will assure that it's running and it's uncompromised. So if it sees someone is messing with your application, he will destroy the machine and reboot a new machine. So how we do this? We do this using the same experience that people that work with Microsoft platform have. So if you know how to develop for Visual Studio, if you know to do programs in .NET, you can go through the cloud without effort. If you know how to do programs in PHP or in Java or in another language, you can take it to Azure too. And those roles must communicate in an asynchronous way, because synchronicity is not good for scalability. If we want to have scalable systems, they must be asynchronous. And we have different roles where you can do work on Azure. So Azure consists of a fabric that controls our instances and how they are running. You put your code there, and if Azure says, this is compromised, my DLL is changing, or someone is trying, or the application is trying to mess with its own system, I will shut down the machine and turn on the machine again. Our applications must have a disconnected way of working, taking all the capabilities of software and using all the capabilities of your machines. And that's why we have the data sync, and data sync is crucial in our solutions. You can run software like Action, SharePoint, CRM. You can have the application platform. That's mainly what we are talking about Azure. Or you can use the infrastructure. And really with Azure, we don't care much about the operating system and even less about the hardware. So imagine that you are IT managers. Imagine that you are responsible for this infrastructure. You have a lot of systems, and you don't know if you are going to put it on a hoster, if you are going to use platform as a service, or if you are going to use only the software. So if we have an ERP, like SAP or Navision or another ERP, what we are going to do is, because it has a lot of customizations, we are going to put it on a hoster. In these 3 continents, we have 2 in the United States, 2 in Europe, and 2 in Asia. We are getting more, but this moment these 6 are the public, or the public information that we have. And just for you to have an idea, this is a data center, and I don't know if you can see the scale of this, but imagine something like 10 times the size of a football field, and you think, well, that's filled with servers, right? We imagine rows and rows of servers and cables and all that stuff. So what happens is that you are using those servers, and they are going to fail. We know that servers fail. Yes, we know. Everyone knows that. And during the lifetime of the servers, they are going to fail. And what happens is that inside the container, the servers begin to fail, and we begin to shutting them off. And we don't care. And when they get to a certain percentage of usage of the container, we take the container out and we put a new one. And we take care of the expertise of people that are experts on their area. They are hardware experts, they are system experts, they do all the management for me. What it is: elastic, scalable, and a great network topology that I don't want to hear about. And how do I go? Self-service, pay as you go. I prefer to say pay as you grow. Because if you grow, this is a good sign. If you would say pay as you go, we usually think, oh, okay, I don't need it, I can turn it off. I like to think in the pattern that we are always increasing and getting bigger, and we have success in our solutions. So pay as you grow, and especially doing platform as a service. That's where you take the full advantage of Windows Azure. So how do we start? Scenarios for our applications, compute scenarios, storage scenarios, and in business-to-business data exchange, it's a good point to use Azure too.